Hello, freak bitches.
Well, so that's where, right? That's where when you say like I'm reasonable with the Milo thing, well, because you have to take into context other people, right? Is it a hit job? But also what you said earlier, where people are human beings, and let's talk it out. So Milo said some things that even he said he apologized for. Others he said was misconstrued. But it's and then there's the George Takei thing, which is different, but still the same.
Well, the George Takei thing you have to explain to people because most people have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, so this is a problem for me. I have conversations in my head that then I utter words.
Well, you're just so entrenched with media. You have so much shit coming into your head every day that you assume everybody else is watching the same videos.
But they're just actually living their lives.
So they did a hit piece on George Takei essentially to sort of show that George Takei. Well, he was talking about his own personal experiences when he was very young with a camp counselor who did some sexually inappropriate things to him. But he was talking about them in a very positive way, that he enjoyed it, and people are saying George Takei is promoting sex amongst 13-year-olds as being okay. No, he's talking about his own personal experience and being honest about it.
Well, and then the way that ends up becoming a comparison is that because it ends up being this weird argument of numbers, of lines in the sand, where he said, I said 13 because that's when I had my first experience. Then we talked about the age of, oh God, I'm trying to remember. He talked about the age of 14, which was, I think when you were, so that was a conversation he had with you with the priest situation. Right. And then people were pointing out that his mindset changed. And my argument there was what you're talking about. To me, even if he, at any point before he acknowledged it, to me, it sounded like he was a victim.
Yes.
But then that creates the argument too of, if someone's a victim early in life, what does that excuse later on? Now, I'm not making the argument that Milo then went on to do and became a Sandusky, right? He was having a conversation and it's words. But at what point do we excuse things? And that's just like, that's a conversation I like to have where it's not damning. I don't want to go in on a victim, but also at the same time, I'm going, it's fucking weird. It's me. And I think it's completely wrong if you have an adult that's trying to fuck a 13-year-old. I think that's 100%. Completely wrong. Like, just when and I feel like you always have to put people in your in their shoes. Where if I was a parent and I'm dropping my kid off to fucking middle school and I find out some 25-year-old is fucking my son, I'm gonna go to jail. But that's gonna be a fucking dead person, 100%. That someone's molesting my child, no, done.
Yeah, I mean, I completely feel you and I understand what you're saying. I think the Milo situation is very bizarre because I think there is irreparable damage done to people when they're molested as children. And I think Milo has been really clear about the fact that he was molested, and he's tried to paint it in a positive light. But he tries to paint a lot of fucked up things in a positive light, and it could easily be his rationalizing and trying to figure
100%.
out.
No one wants to be a victim in their own life, right?
So he's made it a positive thing.
He took control. It was him.
Yes.
So that's why I say, like, let's think of it in that way rather than going, he's against me, let's just destroy him.
Well, I think the problem is that Milo does that. I mean, he's a merchant of outrage. That's his business. And when people get outraged back at him, and if somehow or another sticks, like this pedophile stuff, you can't be upset. This is the game that you started to play. If you get knocked the fuck out, if you're Mike Tyson and all of a sudden you get knocked out, are we supposed to feel bad for you? You've been knocking people out your whole career.
Right.
He's a merchant of outrage. If it's valid, if the outrage is valid, and I think it's valid. I think that what they're saying about what he was saying is absolutely valid. If he says that there can be incredibly positive relationships between very young men or very young boys rather, and older gay men, and that this could keep men from suicide, hit the brakes. Right. Stop. No, it's fucking illegal for a reason.
Right.
And you could potentially be encouraging someone who's fence sitting right now thinking about fucking kids to hop right over to the other side and start doing it because it was positive for Milo.
It does become that conversation.
He said it was beneficial. It is the conversation.
It is a conversation because also to that extent there might be someone that is 13 that's being abused that all of a sudden feels like that's normal.
Right.
So but let's talk about it. I 100% don't agree with the words. It is a tricky situation because you are talking about someone that was a victim of heinous crime. And then just then talking about it and going from there.
But it's also, he said that he was gay at the time. He knew he was gay, and he was the sexual predator. And every situation has its own variables, right? And in look, he's clearly a damaged guy.
Right.
Okay, and I like him. He's
Okay.
clearly a damaged guy, but the way he lashes out and the way he gets attention, I don't like the left's reaction to him. I like that far less than I like what he's saying. I feel like with a guy like Milo, he's not doing any real violent things. He's not doing any real damage. And what you should do is confront him with words.
Yes.
Debate him. Pick apart his arguments about feminism, about transgender people, about gay rights, because he's got some crazy thoughts about gay people, and he's gay. He thinks that it's a choice, and he thinks that it's offensive, and if he could have a pill to not be gay, he would take it in a heartbeat. And like, he said all kinds of crazy shit.
I think when you have someone like Milo or anyone else, the number one thing shouldn't be, let me silence that person, right? Because that's just going to, one, bolster them, validate them, let them talk. Right.
Yes.
So when you see situations like Berkeley, where I had people that sent me videos, and there was a protest in the beginning that it was just people being outspoken, and then there was the fucking crazy chaos of people. I know that you've talked about it before, of like the people getting sprayed in the face with fucking pepper spray, people beaten in the streets. Obviously, I hate those people. What I really hate is the people that aren't doing that are like, yeah, that's what we should be doing, that aren't doing. Like, are you fucking crazy? You think this is a positive? You think this bolsters your argument that we're going to go against what we don't agree that they're saying with fucking violence? You think that makes you the winner? That's insane. It's straight up insane.
Well, it's also they put these blanket labels. He's a Nazi. He promotes genocide. They say all these things, and they say these things so that they can attack.
Well, there was that whole like,
he's a fascist,
punch a Nazi movement after Richard Spencer got punched in the face. Which, once again,
who's Richard Spencer?
Or wait, am I getting the name wrong? No, the guy that I'm gonna double check.
Go ahead.
You've made me doubt myself now. He's part of
You might be right. I just don't know who it is.
Yeah. You always see his face.
name?
He just got booted out of
Richard
CPAC,
Spencer.
from my understand.
Richard Spencer.
So he talks about just look him up. You're not gonna. I imagine you aren't gonna be a fan, but people are like, he's a literal Nazi. We got to punch these people. That people like overjoyed.
So he really is a Nazi.
People just happy. But
is
the
he a
problem
white
is,
supremacist? This guy?
I don't want to label this guy on it. I think that you
Does
should.
he call himself a white nationalist or anything like that? Is he one of those guys?
That's the website.
Neo-Nazi.
Oh, he's a
Is he
neo-Nazi.
a neo-Nazi everywhere? I don't know if he calls himself that. I'll double check.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to slam a label on someone and then do that
hard.
thing, right?
It's
hard.
Yeah.
But so he got punched in the face. Everyone fucking cheered for it. But the problem is, then you move the goalpost of who's a fucking Nazi. All of a sudden, PewDiePie's a fucking Nazi. Everyone's a Nazi, and we can just be violent.
Punch Nazis. Yeah, the punch Nazi thing.
And so the whole thing is just debate these people, right? So like just let them be their own undoing if they are actually that wrong.